Okay, so now we are covering more on the next part, which is molecular genetics of how the genes can be transferred between organisms and what are some of the ethical considerations surrounding genetic engineering. So, what do we mean by these particular stages? We want to understand that genes can be transferred from one cell to another cell. Um, to form actually a transgenic organism. The meaning of transgenic means the genes doesn't just come from original organism, but it comes from other organisms as well. Okay, and of course, briefly explain how this gene can control the production of human insulin as an example, okay, for production. So, what exactly is this genetic engineering? Genetic engineering is this process which actually allows you to transfer genes from one organism to another, and that these individual genes will be firstly cut off from the original cells of one and then slowly inserted into the other organism. But the key thing here, it can be of the same or even different species. What this means is, let's say for apple, it must be from the same species, meaning the same type of apple tree and things like this. But then it can also be different. So like maybe we put in the genes of apple, some of the sweetness of it, and we inject it to pear. Then hopefully they'll have that some form of same sweetness. So this transfer gene can be must be able to express itself in the recipient organism, meaning the gene that was being inserted to the organism that you want to actually grow it. So that's the part of genetic engineering. So one example locally in Singapore we found was the glowing zebrafish, where zebrafish is a type of fish that we usually keep for aquarium pets. But the key thing is we want it to glow in the dark and things like this. So what we did was we actually took out the gene that is responsible for the glow in another organism, and then we inject it into the zebrafish. The part of the glow is generally from jellyfish. So jellyfish express different colors and what's not. So that's where you have the particular gene of interest that in this case would be the gene that allows the jellyfish to glow in the dark. And we insert it into the zebrafish, which is a recipient organism. Then what happens is these organisms will slowly grow and they will reproduce more of their offsprings that has this transgenic kind of DNA that is from the jellyfish glow as well as the fish. So in Singapore, there is also some of these genetic practice, but we usually control it. So for example, your fighting fish, which is what we call beta fish, they do not have actually glow in the dark kind of thing, but because we put in a gene of interest inside, it becomes able to glow in the dark. So this is an example of it. So then comes in the example of what is a vector then. The vector is this DNA molecule, can be from a virus or bacterium, that is used to transfer the gene of interest to another organism. So what we are looking at is really being able to extract this vector and transfer that into another organism. So when it's in a way the original DNA will be known as the plasmid, but when they combine it with the particular gene of interest, we call it a recombinant DNA. So think of it as a vector is a sequence of DNA that is being used to carry that gene of interest. So it's like a vehicle. So like let's say the vector is a car, the gene of interest is let's say a box. And you put this box, which is all the things that you have bought from the supermarket, into the car. The whole thing you call it a recombinant DNA. But by itself, the car is just a car, so it's a vector. So in terms of one of the main problems that we want to solve is like medical treatment for patients with diabetes. So diabetes is a type of disease that is actually growing in nature. So previously at your 50s, the chance of you having diabetes is actually quite high. And now what we do see is that the rate of getting diabetes is higher. How higher? What we meant by higher, it means that you actually get it more earlier let's say at your 30s or your 40s. So from 50s, it became younger, then you get it. So then to help to actually manage some of these medications surrounding it because it's very common, becoming more and more common. There must be rapid production of this medication. Secondly, this rapid medication increase in production of the medication must also be affordable to people. So it's not just to produce fast, but also to be affordable and accessible to people around the world. So that's where, in this context, we usually use insulin as an example of how we actually use genetic engineering to grow some of this medication as fast as we can. So insulin is this hormone that helps to regulate glucose concentration in the blood, and patients with type 1 diabetes cannot produce enough insulin and has to inject insulin regularly. So this is different from the one being being when you go later you get the disease, but this is as on birth you already have it. So this is a type 1. And the animal insulin from cows and pigs are usually collected as they are very close to human insulin. So generally we use insulin from cows as well as pigs to actually form into medication so that we can eat. But definitely the growth through cows and pigs is quite slow, right? As compared to other forms like maybe we use bacteria, so it can grow in faster. So this will also result in other issues like allergy, very difficult and expensive to produce, infection of because of how like pigs and cows, how we actually rear them. There's also certain conditions we want, and of course ethical considerations like using cows and pigs to farm this kind of medical drug. Is it correct? So then what we have is we also have identified some ways like genetic engineering in order to actually extract some of these. So first thing is restriction enzymes and sticky ends are the parts that helps us to identify and to cut the gene of interest. So in our previous lesson, we learned that for DNA sequence, they're very long. But the gene that is part of the whole long DNA sequence is what we want. In order to cut that particular gene sequence that we want, we have to use restriction enzymes to cut it so that we don't get the um other items that we do not need lah. So this is where restriction enzymes are used to cut at the restriction site, which is this segment of DNA that is recognized by your DNA molecules. And when you cut it, you actually form the sticky end. So why do we call it a sticky end? Because after you have actually cut it, this part, there will be exposed nucleotides. These exposed nucleotides are able to then stick to other nucleotides surrounding the cell. So it gets nerve off. So rather than it being used to stick at the vector, we actually get to stick back to each other or to something else which we do not want. Then it renders the gene no longer useful for us. So so the same restriction enzyme is then used to be added to the vector and the DNA so that we create the same sticky end. So what we can see is from the vector we cut as well as the as well as the gene of interest that we cut, so that this part of the AATT will be able to stick at this same part of the vector. That's what we want. So that's why this whole thing is by chance, and therefore to cut the nucleotide we actually use a restriction enzyme. So this sticky end will then stick to each other and bind through complementary base pairing. And on top of that, what we do is we use DNA ligase, which is like a glue, another set of protein, but it's an enzyme, but it's a glue to help stick the sticky ends together to form the recombinant DNA. So the word recombinant comes from the word like recombine, okay, of the DNA. So how exactly, are we going to from step one, use bacteria to mass manufacture insulin? First part is we have to first isolate what is the human insulin gene. So previously, like we have explored the challenging part when we use a pig or cow insulin, it cause complication like allergy and whatnot. So the ideal one is to use something of similar organism. Therefore, we use human insulin gene. Okay, so first we take out a human cell, identify the human insulin gene, and we use restriction enzyme to cut the gene of interest. Sticky end will also be produced at both ends of the gene. So this is actually all of this is part of the exam that you need to After you cut it, you will then need to take a plasmid from the bacteria because that's the vector. Okay, we take the plasmid, and then what we do is we cut with the same restriction enzyme so that you will actually form complementary sticky ends to stick the insulin gene into it. So it will look like this. So after that, what we do is we will then add in your DNA ligase to seal the gene, the sticky end together due from the complementary base pairing. And this will then form the whole idea of the recombinant plasmid DNA. And once we have all this recombinant plasmid DNA, plasmid, we will then insert it back into E. coli bacteria. So E. coli is the name of the bacteria. Okay, and how we insert it, we will need to subject it to heat shock or electrical shock so that this DNA plasmid, recombinant plasmid will be able to enter into the bacterium cell. And this will cause a transgenic bacterium to produce. So this is the parent. After we have this parent, this transgenic bacterium, it will then be able to read the DNA sequence and actually mass produce the insulin gene, which we will then, the insulin protein that we will then extract out from the bacterium and to manufacture it into your medication or product. Okay, this is some statements in which you can try on your own to revise on what you have reviewed about this. But what we can see is for genetic engineering, it is the transfer of genes from one organism to another species. It's not from species to species, but from an organism to another species. Okay. Second, plasmid DNA is a circular DNA found mainly in bacterium. We do not use virus. We do not use virus to actually mass grow because of the danger. And of course, and on top of that, for virus, itself, it cannot grow or multiply. It needs to actually be injected to a host cell. So that's why we don't use virus, we actually use the bacteria. Restriction sites are found at both ends of a gene. This is very true. That's why you are able to circulate it. It's not just one side, but both sides. And for DNA ligase, it's a restriction enzyme. This is wrong. Restriction enzyme cuts the gene of interest as well as the plasmid, whereas DNA ligase is like the glue that joins it. So DNA ligase combines the two complementary sticky end together. Then a recombinant DNA will consist of DNA from different organism, which is true also. No point you cut from one gene to another gene of the same organism. Actually, you'll get the same thing. So this is where recombinant means you actually recombine. Okay. Next is for this whole part, then why some people may challenge, is it ethical or what's the advantage or disadvantage of genetic engineering? In exam, this may come up as a kind of structure question where they will ask you, so the application of genetic engineering, like what I shared, is really to make medication cheaper and more affordable so that people around the world can benefit from this drug. And rather than, because I cannot afford, therefore I won't be treated kind of thing. Secondly, we are able to, for genetic engineering in rice, we are able to produce very hardy rice or rice that are able to withstand harsh condition. So production of crops that can grow in extreme conditions. So things like if let's say the weather is very dry, then not enough water, then the crops will die off, or the crops is infected with pesticide, that kind of thing. So or pests. So farmers are able to then grow crops in environment that are very harsh and not favorable. So I'm also able to cultivate and help to solve things like hunger and what's not. Okay. I can also produce crops that can kill pests. So in that sense, the genes, the pests will not be, will not be able to infect or affect the crops that we eat, the food we eat. So there's also minimal wastage. And lastly, the developed food can be designed to be more specific nutrition goal. Like for example, you put in all the nutrients inside a particular rice where you eat, then it's like, you cover a lot to maximize whatever nutrients you can get from the food. So that's another example of genetic engineering. So these are examples. Production of antibodies in tobacco plants, stronger and sweet tomato, human genes in pigs, for xenotransplantation, generally what this means is to get the pigs to grow certain organ parts or tissue or hormones. Production of human growth hormones. So it's like how we want to get the humans to grow taller and things like this, and so on and so forth. Lah. So what are then some ethical consideration of genetic engineering? Yeah, in a sense, you have the allergies. So when we introduce, like let's say rice, you are not allergic to rice, but because you are allergic to soya bean, and let's say someone wants to develop the rice to taste like soya bean, they use soya bean to the rice. So then you yourself initially not with no allergy to rice, but when you eat this rice, you get allergy. So you cannot. So that is one example. So allergies is an example. uh, monopoly because genetic engineering is expensive. So if it's this technology is also restricted to farmers who can actually afford this technology, then they can grow faster, they kill off the competition. So it makes it very you monopolize the industry in this. Welfare of animals. So just like we is it ethical for us to use human testing? Here we are also looking at whether are we able to use is it ethical to use animals for testing? Potential use of biological warfare is very true. So, for example, you for genetic engineering, you can also use those that cause disease and then inject into, let's say, flies and mice, and then they can spread. So these are some examples of so while it helps for there's one side of using it for good, there's also the other potential use of it for bad, for negative, for harm lah. Then just like accidents also do happen. So let's say you grow super virus or super bacteria because of this. When you are trying to understand how it works, then it mutate. So there's that danger. And of course, inequality, like who can afford, who cannot afford. Okay. So these are some of the areas of the ethical considerations of genetic engineering. And in summary, this is what we have went through. So that's all for this chapter, and then you can just revise your notes and what's not. Thank you.